March Madness is fun.
Yeah, it is.
4 days. What is it? 16, 32. It's like 48 games and something like that. No, it can't be 48 games. There's only 64 teams, 68 teams. It's in the 30s. My math is off. Regardless, what I thought was like a rough Thursday, Friday in terms of, actually, I don't think any actual buzzer beaters, like horn goes off, team wins.
Yeah.
Go crazy, right? So none of that. But still, Saturday and Sunday I thought had way more drama. Wisconsin beating Villanova, being the first to knock off the 1 seed, an overseeded Wisconsin team, mostly because of Bronson Koenig and Nigel Hayes, who have played in 2 Final Fours and a championship game, had the upper edge on Chris Jenkins and the defending champions from last year. As I'm looking at the bracket, South Carolina knocking off Duke, we're all happy.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
We're all happy.
I was happy with that. There was some teams that crashed out that I was like, that gives me a little side smile.
So you've definitely seen the Hugh Jackman Logan voiceover thing where he's in the booth. Did you see the one where someone just kind of photoshopped a bracket into it and just added, so he's just shredding and screaming at the bracket. There's been a lot of good bracket memes. Let's see, Gonzaga, Northwestern. We're gonna get to some Northwestern kid in a second. Of course that kid was gonna go viral. The more he cried and made a scene, the more you deserve it. Dan's pick for Xavier, the 11th seed in the Sweet 16. Knocking off Florida State emphatically.
Yep.
91-66. My Rhode Island Rams going down
They were leading at a half as well. They were looking good.
Yeah, we looked good. We did look good.
But Oregon, I think Oregon come alive.
Oh, man. Tyler Dorsey and Dylan Brooks are very good basketball players. Dylan Brooks wasn't even having that good of a game. He was Pac-12 Player of the Year. But he's physical. He's tough. Now, as a Rhode Island fan, because I went there, when you see like someone jawing at your bench, you get defensive of it, but at the same time, I kind of like that about him. I like the players who aren't afraid to talk or yell or whatever it is. And he was jawing a lot, and I'm fine with that. Of course, I'm ready for Michigan over Oregon now.
Yeah.
But let's start with some of the stuff we got for you, Francis. A couple of the takeaways. For one, no better celebration than Michigan head coach, I think it's Jim Boeheim, with the water gun. This is the first.
Oh, this was great. I've seen this.
Coach John Boeheim leading the charge as the Michigan Wolverines advance to the Sweet 16.
Coaching.
Up against Rick Slickback Pitino as well and his Louisville team.
Yeah, I gotta say, so Louisville's been very quiet in the tournament. They haven't made a big splash since they won it in the late 2000s. And of course, they don't have the players they used to. They don't have like a Peyton Siva to really like take over games like they had for a while on that team, or Montrezl Harrell, who was a beast underneath when he was playing at Louisville. They've been quiet, but because Duke went out, I think it kind of overshadows Louisville. You expect Duke. One of the things I thought was pretty interesting is, and I'm not taking shots at analysts, but this is the reason why I tiptoe around the tournament and don't pretend to say things like Xavier's definitely going to the Sweet 16. I told you they could have.
Yeah.
There's no point in doing that. Because the opposite end of it, so Colin Cowherd, who's someone we reference all the time, someone I actually enjoy really listening to, couldn't have been more wrong. He devoted an entire segment to Kentucky basketball. Is John Calipari feeling the heat, right? Is he feeling the heat? He's only won 1 championship, which is an asinine comment to make because he's won 1 championship with Kentucky. And as he puts it, he's a factory.
Yeah.
He's an NBA draft factory. Yet he's always with a 1 or a 2 or 3. Don't forget, this is a team that was in the Final Four undefeated. Now,
that was Carl Anthony Towns' team, right?
Yeah, it was Towns' team. And I get it. I understand. The expectation that year was to win. But this is not an easy tournament to win. In American sports, it's the hardest of all the tournaments to win. It's harder than the NBA playoffs, I would say. It's harder than the World Series. It's harder than the college football playoffs. There's different curveballs and more challenges to this tournament than I'd say others. Yeah. And then he devoted a whole segment the next day to Duke is the pristine brand of college basketball. Well, Duke lost to a very well-coached South Carolina team. Yeah. Frank Miller did an unbelievable job, and he was great in his press conference afterwards.
It's just like all the hype that goes around just one team can literally just
fade.
Just go away. You could just evaporate into nothing in one game, one performance, one stellar performance from an underdog or a well-coached team, as you mentioned. And I mean, yeah, it does add to the intensity of college basketball. I think partly one of the reasons that many people like to see Duke fall is not just because of Grayson Allen, which is partly because of it, but it's just because teams like that are so overhyped. So, because notoriously they do have the ability to make it to the latter stages of the tournament, the Kentuckys, the Kansases, even Louisville, these teams are expected. So, and it's almost like these analysts are told, you got to keep pushing this narrative, you got to keep making sure that everyone knows how good they are so that when they do fall, it's a big surprise, you know? So it kind of plays into that idea.
That's a really good point. I think it also kind of plays into the idea of why we love the Cinderella run.
Yeah.
Why we love Leicester City in the Champions League. Why we will love a team like Xavier at this point because they are the highest seed left.
Yep.
People are going to root for Xavier over Arizona.
Absolutely.
Although I kind of need Arizona to keep going. In terms of the games left with the Sweet 16, I don't think there's anything nearly as interesting as UCLA versus Kentucky.
Yeah, they already, I remember I watched, that was one of the very few college basketball games that I sat and watched the remainder of during the season. When UCLA beat them during the season. So it's going to be exciting.
I can't tell you enough. I'm not one for the tournament to really switch up draft order. I'm going to find it really difficult where the argument will be to draft Markelle Fultz over Lonzo Ball. The guy's nearly averaging a triple-double. Nearly dropping triple-doubles in these tournament games. And it's not just a stats thing. Chris Broussard said it best. ESPN analyst, he advances the ball. It's not flashy. He just moves your team. He's like a quarterback for a basketball team, and he does it like a complete package.
And he seems like he's a team player as well. Like there was one like small point that I was reading up on a UCLA article about him, and it was just like, they mentioned a point here when power forward TJ Leaf sat in front of his locker store reflecting on how he had elevated his game following a horrid first half. He received kudos from Lonzo Ball, 2 lockers over, who looked at him and said, "We appreciate you, bro." That's like, it seems like that's just a common thing that goes on, but with a player that's got that big of an ego, and not that big of an ego from himself, but from everyone around him, his dad and everyone who thinks that he is destined for greatness, which I think he definitely has the ability to be. He's still humble though, and he still appreciates team basketball, which more often than not is going to get you further in this tournament. Of course, one player can take over a tournament. We've talked about this. But you know what's more powerful than that is one player taking over a tournament using his teammates.
One player can take, I was just going to say, one player can take over a tournament, but just as you put it, you need the team to win it all. You can go far. We've seen so many great stories of single players carrying their whole teams. The difference with UCLA is that they're a good team. They're pretty deep, and they're pretty deep in their backcourt with Alfred's son. It's Bryce or Steve. I think Steve's the coach. Bryce is the kid. Yeah, it's one or the other.
But I still reckon they'll fall.
Yes, I think. I mean, I don't know. I think it's important for UCLA to advance. For my own bracket and pools, I would like Kentucky to advance. And I say that because it leads into Malik Monk, who I actually thought had the best play of the entire weekend for the first 4 days. And I say that because it was a defensive play. And it was a defensive play where he was so overly matched with the small forward for, why am I blanking? Sorry guys, Kentucky beat who? Wichita State. Who was another super overseeded 10 seed. Should have been 4 or a 5 or a 6 for playing way better. It's why they beat Dayton, and it was why they gave Kentucky a run for their money. But I have a screenshot of it. I think it's the element number 2. Malik Monk gets all the way up there. This is another reason why Malik Monk has to be considered one of the better guards coming out of the draft. The same with the Aaron Foxes on that team. He has about, number 32 for Wichita, has about 5 inches on him. And should have had a clear shot at that basket for at least a game-tying shot. Monk said no, blocks it, no defensive plays ever get enough love. That play deserves love. Now, as for anger issues, Joel Berry traveled and he charged, and the refs didn't call anything. Joel Berry for the University of North Carolina. I know there's conspiracy theories. The fix is in. There was the flagrant one that was called earlier in the tournament that actually decided the 8 versus 9 matchup between Arkansas and Seton Hall in the first place. And then the second game coming back, Arkansas against North Carolina. Joel Berry, I just don't understand at this point. Besides the fact that there's been a lot of complaints about the refs, I will still never blame the refs. It's not the reason they lost the game. There's 40 minutes of basketball. It's not the reason, but when it comes down to that type of one play, I can understand why you would be so frustrated. I understand that it's completely unfair, and I can also understand why, from the tournament angle when it's a team like UNC that gets the break. Oh, it seems like they always get the break because they are the #1 seed in the tournament. It would have been the same if it was a Duke or a Kansas. Don't get me wrong, but Joel Berry with a terrible play.
We have the bracket challenge leaders. I promised the people.
There is one guy who is running away with it in the 99.9th percentile of all ESPN pools, I think.
Andy Zoo
with Kentucky and Gonzaga. I'm sorry, the final one in Rodrino, you are out. If you had Duke winning the tournament, you have no chance. Gonzaga is a pick. This guy's got Kentucky. Comment below, like, favorite, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. We'll see you next time.